Hello, and welcome to another episode of the We Build Families podcast. Again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to today's podcast. Of course, you can find this episode where all podcasts are available, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Make sure for all of my Apple customers, make sure that you guys leave us a good 5-star rating and a comment so that we'll know how we're doing on this podcast. So today's episode is centered around not giving up on your dreams, not giving up on the plans and dreams that you've set for your life. A lot of times, due to disappointment, due to a lack of self-esteem, a lot of times we set out to do certain things, and then once a little rough patch hits, once we are disappointed, we sometimes give up. But I want to kind of talk about that today, something that I'm currently working through myself, and so I thought it would be a good way to me help you as I'm helping myself dealing with this particular topic. So when it comes to dreams, when it comes to the goals that you've set in life, the first question that I had to ask myself is, do you really know what your dreams are? Is this something, are you basing your dreams off of what other people want for you? Or are you basing your dreams off of your innate desire? Does it keep you up at night? Is it something that you can't shake no matter how hard you try? And I believe if we understand first the foundational truth of what it is we want in this life, what our purpose is in this life, that's like a good place to start. It's a good place to establish a foundation of, hey, why am I pursuing this goal? Why am I pursuing this lane of events right in my life? Why am I pursuing this? Is it something that I want to do versus somebody else? And for a long time in my life, I wasn't really sure about what I wanted to do, because pretty much everything that I had wanted to do was based on what other people saw in me. It wasn't what I really saw in myself. And so I would, let people say that, hey, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And I think I've told this story previously. My dad is a master carpenter, and he wanted me to follow in his footsteps. And at the time, I was really, really young. So I really didn't want to do that, just because I saw that the physical labor that my dad was doing every single day, I just didn't want to do that, right? But as I've gotten older, I still didn't go through the process of identifying what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be, right? Because again, I'm living up to the expectations and the standards of what other people have set in front of me, right? I was very, very smart, still am smart, but I kind of caught on to math real quickly. And so typically any person, especially in our community, if you are, good with math and good with figuring things out, the first thing they say, hey, be a businessman, right? And so I kind of pursued that, but I realized that I never really completed any of that. But part of that is because I didn't have the passion to do it, because I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do. I was just doing it because everybody else said that I should do it. And so I'm 38 now. I'll be 39 in a couple of months, and I'm just now really starting to understand who I am, what I do well, and what these traits or these abilities, how they can work in my favor. And so that's one of the first things that I think we need to do, is we need to discover what gifts and talents that God has given us, right? Discover them for ourselves, not not what anybody else has told you, but what is it that you do well? If you are a singer, if you enjoy music, if in every facet of life, if you find yourself singing to the jingles in the store, if you are always musically inclined, it's possible that in some part of your life music is going to be involved, right? If you are a problem solver, right? If you see problems as opportunities and puzzles to be solved, then most likely you're going to be in that type of environment to where you are a solutions expert, right? But it's really, really important that you find your niche, find what God has talented and gifted you to do, because the one thing that I know for sure and is that God predestinated a plan for our lives. He has set in us a plan to not only benefit and make benefit ourselves, but to bless and encourage other people. And so, whatever that is, we it's our job to discover what that is and who that person is. And so, no matter how long it takes, it's important that you figure that out. For some of us, we figured that out at a fairly young age, right? Teenagers, and that's great. But if you're like me and you spent, a large portion of your life not really sure about which route to take and which passion really is yours, that's perfectly all right. Because the one thing I know is that no matter how long it takes for you to find your identity and for you to find your purpose in life, once you've identified that, your life starts at that moment. The rest of your life starts once you identify what your purpose and what your plan is. And so we shouldn't be so hung up on the time that's lost. And I think that was my problem. I was really, really hung up on how much time I wasted, on how many failures that I had, because in my mind and what society tells us is that we should be at a certain level by a certain point, and that's just not realistic. Everybody doesn't have the same life purpose, life trajectory. And so for some people, it may take a little longer. However, the one thing that's awesome about God is that God lives outside of time, right? Time was created for us so that we can manage our lives. But God lives outside of time. So he is able to make one day, 1 year of your life can be the greatest year and outweigh the other 30, 40 years that you may have lived previously, because that's just the way God is. God, his favor and his plan and his destiny for our lives many times is a shorter season than the time of preparation. But we just have to seek God and make sure that we are finding our niche, finding our purpose in life, and then just run with it, right? So again, my encouragement for those listening and those watching is to dream again, right? Don't allow any failures, any mistakes, any procrastination to keep you frozen where you are. And I think that's the thing. Failure and procrastination typically keeps us in a state of woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? I wish I would have did this. Man, back in the day, I could have did this. I could have did that. And whenever we are, focused on the time that we've wasted, we are not maximizing the time that's currently in front of us. Because the only time that matters is the time right now. The only time that that we can change our lives is now, right? So for all of the time and the effort that may have been missed, um, today is the day for you to start and to change your life around. So another thing that I think is important is for us to believe in our dreams, believe in our abilities, and believe in them so much that no matter what other people say, no matter if they agree with us, no matter if they understand us, that we should believe in them so much that that we don't sell ourselves short, that we don't second guess our abilities, that we don't allow people to misuse us because they think that they know what we're capable of when we're capable of so much more. And so that's something that I've learned in my years so far, is that when you don't really believe in yourself, that you'll believe what other people believe, and think that their words is gospel and what you believe is a lie. And that's just the farthest from the truth. Because if I don't believe that I'm a great singer, if I don't believe that I can teach the word of God, if I don't believe that God has called me to worship, then it doesn't matter what other people tell me, positively or negatively, right? Because you can have people in your corner pushing you and encouraging you and say, hey, God is doing great things in your life. Stay encouraged, keep moving forward. But if you don't believe that, and if you have trouble accepting the person that God created you to be, then that is ultimately going to hinder you as well. Again, speaking from personal experience, there are still people who believe in me greater than I do. And my wife is one of them. For those of you watching, this studio that I'm recording this video in right now is the result of my wife pushing me to basically set up this studio, because she was like, listen, God showed me what you were going to do years and years ago, and I've been telling you to set up this studio once we bought this house, and you haven't done it yet, and I don't understand why you haven't done it yet. And so again, I was all in my head, because again, I was comparing my ability to the people that I see on TV, the people that I hear in albums, and I'm like, man, there's no way I can do that. But in because I didn't see it, and because I didn't believe it, then the necessary steps of preparation I was failing to do. And so that's something too that that we have to understand when it comes to our dreams, is that none of our dreams will come to pass without work, without our willingness to do our part of the bargain, right? God has promised us great and mighty things, but He won't step down from heaven and do them for us. We have to do our part. And so believe in yourself, do the work, all right? It's so vital that for those of you who may struggle with procrastination and laziness, I think it's a key for us to deal with this is to make a list and set a goal to do something today. For me, it's trying to record a podcast each week. Now, I'm recording this podcast, I think today is the 22nd, maybe? 23rd of August. The last recorded podcast that I recorded and posted was on the 8th of August. When I set out to do this, I wanted to do a episode a week. And hey, some days I'm good and other days I'm not. But it's part of it is the lack of planning, the procrastination, all of that, right? So it's important that if you are struggling with procrastination and with laziness, one, set a list, and two, if you really want to get it done, have someone hold you accountable for the basic, steps and tools. I'm grateful for my wife because she does keep me on my toes. She says, "Hey, you hadn't written a song in a while. You haven't, recorded an episode in a while." Like she, obviously she follows me and all of that. But, having someone to help push you, it's important. It's worth more than what I think we sometimes realize. So write down your goals. Um, that's something that I'm working on now. Is that a goal in my head, or any goal in my head, is just a wish until I write it down and I see it on paper and I work the plan. It's literally just a wish. Um, I can't manifest anything to happen without work. I can want it to happen all day long, but if I don't, write out a plan, if I don't set aside time to pray and hear God for songs and melodies, if I don't write out my, a month worth of episode topics, right? Like there's a plan and a process for everything. And so I just want you to know that you can do this. Your gifts, your dreams, the purpose that God has placed in your life, the thing that He's called you to do. You're not too old. You're not too young. There is time. You can do it today. You can do it tomorrow. God still wants to use you. There's no mistake that would ever cancel out God's destiny and plan for your life. Trust me, I thought it too. I've made some horrible mistakes in my life, but I was thinking that because of these mistakes that I made, that God was never going to use me. And that's just not the case, because He, when He gave me the assignment, He knew I wasn't going to be perfect, right? So believe in yourself, write out your plan, all right, and also, dream big. Right? Don't sell yourself short. Understand that you are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. And in Him is all power, all the creativity that you need, all of the ingenuity that you need, all of the organization, everything that you need to carry out God's destiny and purpose. He already put it in you. That's why I mentioned earlier, we have to discover that. We have to take time out to actually look within ourselves to see what is it that brings me joy. What is it that God has placed in me to help other people. And then once you've taken the time to discover that, then that's half the battle. Then you get connected to the people that are already doing it. Then you, like I mentioned earlier, writing out the plan, and then letting God, open up the door for you, right? Because at the end of the day, the one thing that I do not want to do is I do not want to end my life with any bullets in the chamber, so to speak. I want to make sure that I have done everything that God birthed and created me for, right? And as you grow and as you go through life, you'll discover that there are things that you can do that you didn't realize. If you would have told me 3 years ago that I would be doing a podcast and that it would be something not only that I would enjoy, but I'm fairly decent at, I would have never believed you, because it was some avenue that I hadn't tapped into, right? But um God will continue to birth and pull off the layers of your ability the more that you trust him, and the more that you just go and do the original assignment that he's called you to do, right? And that's the key. Like, whatever God has already told you to do that, right? Start where you are, do what you can, use what you have. And I think sometimes that was my problem too, is that I would see myself at a future state, but I didn't do any of the work today that would have ever led me to that state, right? And so that's the lesson. You are, and I mentioned it earlier, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are beautiful. You are smart. You are courageous. You have everything that you need to turn the world upside down and to be effective in the kingdom of God. So listen, that's mainly all I had to share on today. I do want to thank you guys again for tuning in to today's podcast. If there was something that you heard today that blessed you, please make sure that you leave us a like on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars preferably, and please leave a comment so that I can have some feedback on what we're doing here. Also, you can follow us on Facebook at the We Build Families Podcast. You can follow me on YouTube, Brian Mitchell. I have a separate channel for the podcast as well. Download, subscribe, share. Let's grow this community so that we can all build our families to be stronger, to be healthy, and to be God-led. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you guys next week.